My ex claimed her kid was mine for 14 years. Then the judge ordered a DNA test on the spot. My ex, Natalie, has claimed for 14 years that her daughter Emma is mine, but she refused a DNA test the whole time. The problem is, I was deployed overseas for 2 months when she got pregnant. When Natalie first told me, she said she was 5 weeks along. I'd been home for 3 days. I said, Natalie, I've been gone 8 weeks. That can't be mine. She snapped that I was trying to dodge, and she doubled down. So I made one offer, and I've never changed it. First, we do a paternity test. Second, if it's mine, we set custody and child support through lawyers. Clean and fair. Natalie called that insulting and told everyone I got her pregnant and abandoned her. I tried explaining the deployment dates to mutual friends. A few believed me, most stayed quiet. One guy kept saying, just help her out. I told him my lawyer warned me that giving support without a test could be used against me. He rolled his eyes. I said, if you think it's so simple, you house her. He stopped. Months later, Emma was born. Natalie started sending pictures with captions like, Emma misses her dad, and she's asking about you. I didn't respond, except to repeat my offer. DNA test first. Natalie didn't take no. She began showing up at my apartment with the baby, knocking and waiting in the hallway. Sometimes she'd talk loud on purpose, like she wanted neighbors to hear. Once she followed me to my car and said, just look at her face. You know she's yours. After enough of that, I filed for a restraining order. In my state, it lasts 2 years. Then it expires unless you go back to court. So my life turned into a stupid loop. Every 2 years, the order ends. Natalie shows up again. I repeat, DNA test, then lawyers. She refuses, calls me cruel, and I file again. I changed numbers. I moved. I stopped posting online. She still found ways to pop up, always right after it expired. She never breaks the order while it's active. She just waits for the timer to run out. 5 years ago, I married my wife, Kim. She knew all of it. We have a 9-year-old son, Henry, and we've kept him away from the details. Then last month, Henry's school had a family science night. Kim was home sick, so I went with Henry. We were by his volcano project when I heard a girl behind us say, hi, I'm your big sister, Emma. I turned around and saw a 13-year-old girl staring at my son like she belonged there. Natalie wasn't with her. Emma smiled and said, Mom said you'd finally meet me. Henry's face went tight. He stepped back, looked at me, then ran straight to his teacher, Mrs. Patterson. Mrs. Patterson came over fast and asked me what was going on. Parents nearby went quiet. Emma took a step toward Henry, and I stepped in front of him. I said out loud, she is not my daughter. Her mother has been claiming this for years, and I've had restraining orders. Emma's smile flickered, like she didn't know what line came next. Henry clung to Mrs. Patterson's hand. Mrs. Patterson's eyes widened, and she asked Emma where her parent was. Emma mumbled, she's outside, and that made my stomach drop. The school ended the event early. The principal pulled me aside and asked for a written statement. People packed up like they didn't want to be near it. On my way out, a mom named Sarah stopped me and said, I know Natalie's wrong, but saying that in front of Emma was harsh. I said, I've offered the same DNA test for 14 years. What else am I supposed to do? Sarah didn't answer. The next morning, I called my lawyer. We filed for a new restraining order and reported the school incident. The school also reported it to CPS. The preliminary hearing was the next week. I walked in expecting the usual. Natalie acting offended, me repeating DNA test, and another 2-year order. But Emma was there, sitting with an older woman I didn't recognize, and a woman in a business suit with a folder. My lawyer whispered, that's her great-grandmother and a court-appointed guardian. CPS stepped in. The judge read the whole history into the record. 7 restraining orders, all exactly 2 years apart, and the school report. Then my lawyer stood up and said, Your Honor, my client will do a DNA test right now, today, and end this. Natalie went pale. Her hands shook on the table. She opened her mouth, but her lawyer grabbed her arm and hissed, Don't. The guardian looked at the judge and said, We accept. A bailiff brought out cheek swab kits right there. They swabbed me, then Emma. Emma blinked hard and stared at the floor. Natalie sat frozen, staring at the kits like she was watching her story fall apart. The judge issued a temporary restraining order on the spot that covered me, Kim, Henry, and our families, and then the bailiff guided Natalie out before she could even come in.